What up, gamers? It is Will 777JP back at it again, and today, y'all, we are doing a recap of the games that I beat last month in January 2025. So, started off the year strong. We have, let's see here, one, two, three, four, five, 6 games that I beat last month, and I want to share those with you guys. Not just that, tell you guys how long it took me to beat them, what I did in the game, what I didn't do in the game, the stuff that I skipped, the stuff that I made sure that I did, things of that nature, so you guys can kind of get a good picture on my gaming habits, how much I'm gaming, how much time I'm really gaming, and the types of games that I'm playing currently, and also how I go about finishing them. So if you're interested, please stay tuned. And before we get started, I also want to say thank you so much to all of you guys out there that have been watching my content. It means a lot to me. We are so close of the 300 subscriber mark, so I can't wait till we do get to that point. Thank you so much to all of you that are already subscribed, man. You guys have been supporting the channel since I started about 5-6 months ago, so thank you so much. And now, getting back to the video. So, as I mentioned earlier, I have finished, or I don't want to say finished, because to me, finish means like I did everything in the game, but I did beat 6 games. Now, the way that I beat games, right, I'm not a trophy hunter, so I don't get platinums for games. Doesn't mean I'm against it. It just, I like playing games, I like getting different experiences. So, I'm gonna try to get the most out of a game that I feel is appropriate to me. So sometimes I may go and get the platinum for a game. Majority of the times I will not. The games that I try to get a platinum for has to meet a couple criteria. One, that I really like the game. Two, is the trophy list easy enough for me to go get that platinum, right? Because sometimes some of these games will have you play a game multiple times just to get the one trophy that will get you closer to the platinum, because there's one item you can get in the game just the one time, or you have to beat it in different difficulty levels, right? And to me, that I don't want to do that, right? Because the time that I spent playing that game, I can spend playing another game. Now, some people are like, well, Will, what does it matter? You own the game, might as well. Another reason why I won't get the platinum for a game is because if I get the platinum for a game, I feel like the game is complete, finished, finito. I will not go back to it. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like I don't know. It's like watching your favorite movie, dissecting every line, and then you get to the last scene, and then you got the whole movie memorized. It's like, okay, I can replay it in my mind. I don't need to rewatch it again. It's kind of like that feeling. So sometimes, like for example, Ghost of Tsushima, I got the platinum for that in 2024, and it was like my fifth or sixth time playing that game. Now, I will not be playing Ghost of Tsushima again for a few more years, because when I got the platinum for that game, that kind of sealed the deal with me that I'm completely done with it, right? So, I don't know, something internal. I know that may be different for other people, but that's just the way that I am. Also, I beat a lot of games. I finished a lot of games. Excuse me, beat a lot of games. I mean, in 2024, I beat, I think it was like 98 games. So it was a lot of games. So if I want to get through that many games, that many different experiences, I can't go out here and chase every single platinum that's out there, right? So that's just my way of gaming. You don't have to do it the way that I do. Nobody has to do it the way that I do. It's just the way that I do it, and I'm sharing it with you guys. And the real interesting part about this is to see is how many people are like me, or how many people aren't like me. How many people do get the platinum for every game that they play. I have a friend of mine who he gets the platinum for every game that he plays, and I find that to be really cool. You know what I'm saying? So he takes that game, he plays it from start to finish, he replays it, gets the platinum, and then he's done. He puts it away forever. He doesn't replay games, which I find that to be interesting. So we're all very different. Once again, this video is not to say your way is better or my way is, none of that. It's just a gamer sharing what he does with gaming and hoping to see some insight into how you do your gaming. That's it. So the first game that we beat, or that I beat in in January, which is The Invincible. I beat that game January 2nd, and it took me 7 hours. So The Invincible is a game that caught my attention right away when I saw the trailer. I held off on buying it for a while. It wasn't until I got it on sale that I went ahead and purchased it, and even then, it sat in my collection for a while, man. I want to say close to a year, give or take. Well, I mean, let's do the math. The game came out here. The game came out 2023, and I beat it at the end of 2024. So I'm guessing I got it maybe about a year or 6 months to a year after the game came out. And then I beat it at the end of 2024 or beginning of 2025. So yeah, and I really liked the game. I didn't get the platinum for the game. It's a game that I'm definitely gonna go back to because the game has some different story options, so you can go different routes with it. And I really appreciate those games because you're adding your what's the word? I don't want to say you're giving the game more value, but you're making the game replayable, right? Especially a story driven, narrative driven game like the Knowing, or the Invincible. I mean, it's very important that you have these elements because a lot of the story driven games, what puts people off is that you can only play them once because now you know the story, unless the gameplay mechanics are so fun that you can just do it over and over and over again, no problem. So story or narrative driven games tend to have that hurdle to overcome, I believe, that the story, once you get it and know it, it's kind of hard to replay it again, right? So that's one thing the game did right, amongst others, is that it gives that option at the end where you can play the game again, you can gain more from the story, and there's different options. Now, the gameplay, it's pretty simplistic. This is what people will call maybe a walking simulator. There isn't combat or anything per se like that. Like, it's not an action adventure game. You're just trying to dig the story out, puzzle things together, trying to figure out what happened, what is happening, what's going to happen. And that's an interesting thing all on its own. The game may not be for everybody, but I do recommend that you give it a shot, especially if it's on sale, man. Pick the game up. I think that if you like story games, you will enjoy this one. And also, the art style is phenomenal, man. It has this old but new kind of art style, and I really think that sets the game apart from others. I forget what the art style is called, but let me see if it has it here. Because it kind of is a big deal. A video game. Yeah, it doesn't. I don't think it says it. Yeah, it doesn't say it, but yeah, I highly recommend it, man. The game, I had a good time with it, and I will definitely be playing it again to get those other story lines that I didn't get the first time playing through it. The second game that I beat in 2025, January, Ace Combat 7. So I beat The Invincible the 2nd of January, which I started playing in December of 2024. So January 5th, I started playing Ace Combat 7 because I just beaten in December of 2024 Project Wingman. And I love Ace Combat 7. One of the subscribers to the channel recommended me Project Wingman, so I went ahead and got it. I played it. I loved it. And because I loved it so much, I wanted to come back and play Ace Combat 7. And what can I say about Ace Combat 7? I mean, it's one of the best arcade type, fighter, games that's ever been around since the beginning of the series. Like I said, I've beaten it numerous times. This wasn't my first time. It took me 10 hours to beat it this time around, which is right on par on how long it roughly takes me to beat this game. I did play an Ace difficulty, which is the highest difficulty you can play it. But, one thing that sets this game apart from Project Wingman is the cutscenes and the voice acting. I mean, it's just on a whole other level. And sometimes we don't realize how much a game gets elevated by these additional things like cutscenes and voice acting. I know some people hate cutscenes in video games. I love them. I think it adds to the narrative. I think it adds value to the game. There are some people out there that I consider arcade gamers, meaning they don't care about story. They're strictly gameplay, and that's fine if you like that. Not me, because video games is my number one medium for entertainment. I like to get everything in my game. So I like to get the gameplay. I like to get the music. I like to get the voice acting. I like to get the visuals. I like to get a nice hearty meal with my games because I don't watch movies. I don't watch TV shows. I hardly listen to music. You know what I'm saying? If I'm not playing video games on my free time, then I'm reading a book or I am listening to some sort of podcast and maybe sometimes music. So Ace Combat does all of those for me, and the gameplay is just so much fun. So if you haven't played Ace Combat 7, I don't know what to tell you, man. You need to play this game. It had VR mode, which honestly I've never played. I have a PS4 VR. I just don't. I even got the free adapter to hook it up to the PS5, but I just never did. I may be missing out, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know if I want to wear a headset with VR, flying around. But Ace Combat 7, one of my favorite games of all time, and the rumor is that Bandai Namco should be announcing Ace Combat 8 this year. So we'll see what happens with that. The next game that I finished is Visions of Mana. Now, Visions of Mana was a game that I've been playing on and off for about a month. I even had a New Year's stream playing Visions of Mana. But on the 13th of January is when I actually beat it. So Visions of Mana took me 40 hours to beat on normal mode. Now, that may seem short to some people, and it is short. The reason it is short in gameplay hours is because after the first 10 to 15 side quests, I stopped doing side quests completely. I just did single player campaign stuff. So I would say maybe 5 of those hours are because of the side content. The side content was the worst part of the game. Very lackluster. It had no originality, had no nothing to keep you going. It didn't really tie into anything. It was just a lot of fetch quests, and it got really, really boring. And I'm the opposite type of gamer. I like to do all the side quests in the game if I possibly can. There's some that are tied to difficulty where I may skip out on if I feel like it's too difficult, but I'm the type of person that likes to get through all the side content per section. So let's say Ghost of Tsushima, right? For example, you have the first island, right? I like to do all the side content down in the first island. Then I do all the campaign stuff in that first island before I go up to the second island, right? Even if it gets unlocked during the campaign, I go back down, I do all the side content, I do all the collectibles before I move up to the next part. And that's just the way that I like to do it, especially with a game like Ghost of Tsushima where the side content was phenomenal, the story's phenomenal. I loved everything about that game. But Visions of Mana, that was not that. The gameplay was nice. It was an action gameplay, action combat, which I prefer. Some of these RPGs, their problem to me, right, not to you, but for me, is that they do this turn-based, action-based kind of mixture, and I'm like, dude, just pick one or the other. At a bare minimum, I'd rather it be that way than a turn-based game. But I still prefer the action combat of a game. I like to, like some people say that simulation games are too slow and too boring. Not me. I like some of them, but the biggest outliers of Visions of Mana was the art style. To me, well, that's the first thing that attracted me about the game. That's the number one thing that kept me in the game, and that's the number one thing that I remember about the game. So the art style for me did a lot of heavy lifting. Visions of Mana isn't a game that I would normally play, but because of that art style, it captivated me. As far as the story goes, it was good. It wasn't phenomenal, but it was good. My biggest complaint with the story is that it had so much potential. And I know people say that about games all the time, but they could have really dug into some of these dialogues or discussions that we have, in our world, whether it's culturally or religion or political. They really could have delved into some of that in the mana world, and I just felt like it became very superficial towards the end, which kind of disappointed me, because in the first 30% of the game, it led me to believe that some great answers will be unveiled to you, and that was not the case. But it was still a good game. I don't regret the price I paid for it. I paid $40 for it Black Friday ish kind of sale, and I don't regret it at that price. 40 hours is solid gameplay. Time for a game like this. Also, I could have got a lot more out of it if I did the side content, which, as I mentioned, I did not do. This is another game that I did not do the platinum or anything like that. And another thing that the game does is you do have additional content after you beat the game that opens up for you. So that's pretty cool. I really like games that give back, per se, right? I know that a topic of discussion with video games is that some people feel that video games are too bloated, and I just think that's a stupid reason, right? I don't think there's such thing as too much game. I just don't, right? These games are expensive. They cost a lot of money. We work hard for our money. Give us all you can give us. But what I think people really mean by that, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that what I think people really mean is that you have too much bloat because it's nonsensical, or it doesn't, you don't have anything good. It's just stuff to make the game bigger. And with that, I agree. If you're just going to be adding stuff to make the game bigger for no reason, then don't do it. Just do what you have and make what you have good. That was one of the things with Starfield that people were complaining about. As soon as Todd Howard said 1,000 planets, we're like, oh, great, here we go. So you're going to have 4 or 5 good planets and the rest are going to be empty. Like, no, we don't want that. We'd rather get 10 good planets that have civilization, have their own, their own animal civilization, their own, cultures, their own arts, all that stuff, versus 100 barren, 1,000 barren planets that do absolutely nothing for you. And that's exactly what happened. A lot of procedurally generated stuff in that game. But Visions of Mana was pretty good. It was a very colorful game, but it did have some dark undertones. And the last thing I'll say about the game, too, that I couldn't really get past the whole time I was playing is the enemies or the monsters that you fight in the game. None of them are menacing. None of them. They're all like this, I don't even know what the word is, but they're like these cute little like creatures, and you're like, wait a minute, this thing looks like a balloon Pikachu. Like, why is this the bad guy? Like, what's he gonna do? Cuddle me to death? So that was my biggest complaint with the game, is that like the monsters, they weren't monsters. They were just creatures that were super cute, but they called them monsters. I don't know. Maybe somebody can fill me in. Maybe there's something about Visions of Mana that I don't know. The next game is Saga of Sins. So Saga of Sins is the game that I beat January 18th. Took me 13 hours. 13 hours to beat Saga of Sins. So after I beat Visions of Mana, I went straight into Saga of Sins. And took me, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 5 days to beat that game. Saga of Sins. So what can I say about the game? So, number one, I enjoyed the game. Number two, is the game going to be for everybody? No. Number three, the game is simple. It's simple combat. Like, there isn't much complication there. You have about 3 or 4 different ammunition types. One's similar to like a shotgun. One is similar, just your typical stuff. The biggest thing that sets this game apart, once again, is the art style. The art style is basically like the church window glass, how it's like different colors and like, in crazy shapes. That's what the whole game is like. So super, super interesting. The story is also interesting. You are playing as, I think he's a priest. And, no, not a priest, but what do you call those guys? Hold on just a second. Like a Knights Templar kind of deal. Actually, I think that's what you are, because you come into the beginning of the story talking about how you just came back from a campaign and blah, blah. Well, the priest of the town is telling you, the main character, that hey, we have these problems, people are sinning, and we got to clear the sin from them, and here's this thing that's going to give you a special ability that's going to make you go into their mind. And then that's what the game is about. So you go from person to person, you go into their mind as a creature. What creature you have is going to dictate what power you have, or what, weapon style power you'll have. And you can swap with R1, L1. So you can go back and forth, however you like with it. And that's what you do throughout the game. So the story is pretty interesting. It's pretty compelling. There is some twists and turns in there. But yeah, I got this game for like $13 on Video Games Plus. Awesome purchase. Awesome purchase for the sale. I'm surprised that it's rated E, because it does have some religious, it is a religious game, religious undertones. Sure, it may not be realistic, right? But yeah, super interesting. The art style, the gameplay was fun. It was a bit challenging in some parts, and also a game that has multiple endings. So I saved at the very basically at the point of no return. So all I got to do is go back to that save and then select, because literally the endings are lined up for you in 3 doors. It's like door number 1, door number 2, number 3. So if you can save right there, do door number 1, beat that boss, load up that save again, go through door number 2, beat that boss, load up the save again, go through door number 3, beat that boss. Now you got all the endings. So I like how they made it simple that way, so you don't have to replay the game over again. But yeah, the game took me 13 hours, which was actually a little bit more than I expected it to last. Now, I don't know, it's because I sucked in a few levels, and a few levels took me forever to figure out. But yeah, it took me a little bit longer. I figured a game like this, for this price, would maybe take me 8 hours max, but it took me a little bit more than that. The next one that I finished or beat is Oni Road to the Mightiest Oni. So this game I beat June 20th. So this game took me 9 hours to finish. And with this game, I just about did everything I could in that game. And the reason that I know is that there are these chests that you open up in the game, and once you open them up, you get resources. And there is one chest per main area of the game that you cannot open until you beat all the monsters in the game, or all the bosses, or mini bosses. I don't know what you call them. And I was able to open them up. So, game was interesting. What can I say about the game? Another one that the art style caught my attention. I also got it for very cheap. It was a 9-hour game. The music in this game was phenomenal. Wow. Like the music in this game, which reminds me, I need to add it to my playlist on YouTube. If you guys don't know, I have video game music that doesn't sound like video game music playlist on my channel. Go check that out. But the combat was simplistic but fun and challenging. There's not many power-ups or many different things that you can do that are different. There are different weapons that you can get. There's some interesting concepts in there, but nothing that's gonna blow your mind. If you like a game that's, I don't want to say a cozy game, because there is combat and you are active, and if you're not watching what you're doing, you can die. But it has that vibe where it's kind of cozy. Great scenery, great art. The music is very nice, very soothing. And there's individual stories in the game that may pique your interest, right? There's only a couple main characters, and the game is, you're a monster and there's humans, and they've both been fighting each other forever, and that's what the game is. You're fighting humans and monsters, and you guys are trying to like fix your problems basically. So interesting game. And then the last game that I beat in January is actually up on the TV. So give me a second so I can set it up. And here it is, Doom Eternal. I beat the game, when was it? January 27th. And it took me 22 hours. So Doom Eternal is a unique game. Well, not unique in the sense that it's a unique game itself, but unique in the way that I played it. So the first trophy I got for Doom was, here, let's go to earned, new to old. So if we go all the way to the bottom of the trophies that I got, the oldest one was July 31st, 2022. The newest one that I got was when I beat it in January 27, 2025 at 11:22 p.m. Yes, that's how long it took me to beat Dune. Dune was a game that took me forever because it was hard for me. I don't play FPS, first person shooters like this that are at this pace. So I had to completely get used to something like this. The most that I do for first person shooters is like Halo, or I'll do Destiny with friends sometimes, or just games like that. Nothing at this pace. That took me by surprise. So I actually beat this game on what people will consider easy mode, or Daddy Don't Hurt Me, I think it is. They make fun of you for playing it on easy mode, but I did, man. After I got, where was it? I don't remember exactly. I think it was right around, I don't remember, man, but the second time I picked, or the third time, because I played this game on and off, but like the second or third time I picked it up is when I changed the difficulty down from what's considered normal down to easy, because I just couldn't get past a certain level, and I was having a good time, man. The music in this game is top notch. You know what I'm saying? It's phenomenal. But I wanted to keep playing. I just couldn't handle the difficulty. So I went ahead and I brought it down, and yeah, I beat the game, and it was a good time. It was a good time. It was a long game, man. 22 hours. Once again, may not be that long for a normal gamer with normal skills, but because I died so many times and had to restart levels so many times, I'm sure that added numerous hours to my gameplay, but it took me 22 hours to finish. I'm excited for the new Doom game coming out. I'm definitely going to be buying it day one and playing it. I'm a little disappointed in the way that id Software has handled Mick Gordon, which is the music producer for Doom 2016. They lied on him. They accused him of things, and he showed the receipts, and so that's disappointing. But I can't deny that they did something here with this game that is phenomenal, man. And also, if you own a PlayStation 5, I mean, this thing has all the bells and whistles, man. You're gonna get the 60 frames per second. You're gonna get the freaking 4K. You're gonna get the audio. You're gonna get it all. So I really, really recommend this game. Now, the thing about Doom too is that the game is very, very repetitive. And I think that id Software could have done a much better job at cutting down the biomes or doubling them up. So they could have cut down on the length of the levels by half and then doubling up the biomes. Because every time that I think they're called missions in the game, where you do like one biome or one level, it's about 45 minutes to an hour and a half. Right when I got to the halfway point, the scenery got old, the enemies got old, and now you're just grinding to get to the finish of this level. Where I feel like if they did 30-minute missions, and then swapped you out to a different biome with new enemy types, it would have kept the pace of the game matching the high intensity music and combat that the game already offers. So I think that's something that they did that was bad in this game. Hopefully they do better with that in the next Doom. But either way, if they don't, it's fine. I'm still going to buy the game, because that's the beautiful thing about video game ownership, is I can just put the game down till I'm ready to play it again. I don't have to start playing the game and then play it all the way through and then beat it. Like, no, I play games at my own pace. And Doom is a great example that I started playing, 3 years ago? Or 2.5 years ago, and I just beat in 2025. There's nothing wrong with that, guys. You play your games however you want. Nobody's buying your games for you. Nobody pays your bills. So if you want to start doing one mission a year, then that's what you do, right? Now, like I said, it didn't take me that long to beat Doom, because because excuse me, because of I didn't like the story or I didn't like the gameplay. It's just the combat was too difficult until I'm like, you know what? I don't have to play this at normal. I could bring it down a notch, and if I want to go back up to normal, I can do that. Well, I never went back up to normal. I beat it in easy. Now, that's not the easiest you can do because there is one more underneath that, but it's easy to me and it was perfect for me. I still died plenty of times, so it wasn't like I was killing it and crushing it. No. Another thing that I kind of did not like about Doom is story. Now, there is a ton of lore and a ton of story, but you have to dig it out, right? Doomslayer isn't just gonna sit there and tell you his life story. He's not gonna sit there and tell you how he got to where he's at. That's not gonna happen. But what you will find is articles, news articles, and journals and things like that, and voice recordings telling you what's been happening, what has happened, what's going on, which is cool. But like a single player narrative driven type of gamer that I am, I love my voice acting, I love my cutscenes, so I hope that, well, I know that that's what's going to happen in the next Doom. They are implementing a lot more of that, so I'm really looking forward to that, because look, Doom as a concept is just phenomenal, right? The art style, phenomenal. I mean, look how badass Doomslayer looks, right? And then the fact that you're killing demons, like what? That's just insane. Then you add the music. Come on, the weapons, they have that thump to them. It feels good. It does so much well. It's just a couple little criticisms that I have, but hey, I got it done. I will definitely keep this in my rotation. I'll definitely play it when I feel like playing another shooter of this type. The music just bangs so hard, bro. And that's another thing that brought me back to that, kept bringing me back to the game, is, man, that Doom music is fire. So instead of just listening to it on my phone, I was like, you know what, I'll play listening to the music. And that's a lot of the reason of why I played the game. So I'm definitely going to be checking out Doom 2016 next. That one's similar concept. I have played some of it, but I put that down to get the visual upgrades of Doom Eternal, especially when the story isn't just told to you. You got to look for it. So thank y'all so much, man. I think I kept y'all enough. Wow, 32-minute video. But yeah, those are the games that I've beat. One last thing I want to talk about, time, right? Time. Let's talk about time real quick. The Invincible, January 2nd, 7 hours. Ace Combat, January 5th, 10 hours. Visions of Mana, January 13th, 40 hours. Saga of Sins, January 18th, 13 hours. Oni, Road to the Mightiest Oni, January 20th, 9 hours. Doom Eternal, January 27th, 22 hours. So counting up these hours, so we got 40, 57, 67, 68, 69, 70, 70, 80, 92. 92 plus 9 is 101 hours. So let's just say for easy math, right, there's about 105 hours that I played, or in games that I finished in January. Now, of course, there's probably a few more hours because I do have the Just Playing live stream that happens on Tuesday nights with RPG88, where we play a co-op game, and that usually goes for about 2 hours. We didn't do, I think it was one episode in January, so there's about 3, so 6 hours there, right? So if you divide that up by 30 days in a month, well, I think January had 31 days, but just say the average of 30 days, it comes out to be about 3.3 gaming hours per day. Now, when people ask me, how do you beat so many games? Well, guys, we just did the math, right? About 105 hours divided by 30 days is about 3 hours per day on average of gaming, right? And of course, not every day I got to play 3 hours. For example, January 2nd, that was my second day of the year that I was off. I didn't go back to work till January 4th. So after the holidays, literally from January 2nd to January 4th, I was all by myself. My son was by his mother. I took the opportunity before he went by his mom. We cleaned the house. We went grocery shopping. I set everything up. I did all my social activities with the family the whole previous month. So we had nothing to do. Everybody just kind of wanted to chill, do their own thing. So for those 2 days, I put in, must have been probably about 16 hours of gaming. You know what I mean? 8 hours of sleep. I did no work, so 8 hours of no work. I don't know where those went, and about 8 hours a day in gaming. right? So I was able to get a big portion of gaming during those times. And then also during the work week. So during the work week, I'll get 1 hour, 2 hours of gaming, right? If I'm lucky, sometimes 2.5. But it's about 2 hours. Now, what you didn't hear me say is, yeah, I watched this movie or this TV show. No, you didn't. Because if I had free time, I would apply that to gaming. Right. And that's why I was able to average 3 hours per day. But of course, you have like Sundays where I don't know about you, but Sundays for me is like a day where it's like a rest recover day where I don't do anything. I don't go grocery shopping. I mean, rarely, do something like go on a date or go to a movie or something like that. Those are rare. But Sundays, I like to chill at home, make sure my laundry's squared away for the week, make sure my house is clean for the week, make sure that, whatever I need for the work week is done. So that's what I use my Sundays for. And a lot of that is spent playing video games. Saturdays are hit or miss. Saturdays, sometimes I go out with the family, we do stuff. Sometimes I take my kid out somewhere. And other times we just like, you know what, dude, we've had a long work week, long school week. Let's just stay home and play video games all day. Cool, let's do that. We might go out for dinner or we might visit family or something like that. Simple. Fridays after work, I do laundry. So I knock out a lot of my chores on Friday nights so I can have as much as the weekend as possible for me. And then throughout the work week, of course, I have my regular chores, cooking dinner, doing dishes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Spending time with my family, with my son specifically. So I do get all my social and my responsibilities out of the way before I get to the gaming. I do not put gaming in the forefront of my life. I don't. But gaming is my main hobby. You know what I mean? That and reading. I like to read. So people saying that, oh, I just don't have the time to game. It's like, well, you do. You just don't want to spend the time that you do have gaming. And that's okay, dude. You don't have to spend every free time that you have playing a video game. I don't even recommend you do that, right? But I do. Instead of watching a movie, I'd rather play a game. That's why I like my games to have so much. Like I said earlier in the video, I like my games to have music, the voice acting, the cutscenes, all that. I like to have it all because that's where I get majority of my entertainment. So there you guys have it, man. I will make another video just like this when February wraps up. Now, last year, I only beat, I think it was 2 games in February. So I don't think it will be the case this February because I already have a few games that I want to play. But who knows, man? Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 comes out tomorrow, and that game might just take up all my time for the month of February. But who knows? So I think I know the game that I'm going to beat first this month, February, which I think may be Ninja Gaiden 2 Black Remaster, but we'll see. Otherwise, I'll give you guys another update. Also, keep an eye out because I have been recapping the whole year of 2024. So I started my YouTube channel at the second half of 2024, so I wasn't able to give you guys an update like this every single month. This will be my first full year on YouTube, so I'm going to start doing these updates every single month of the games that I beat. And while I'm doing that, I'm also going to catch you guys up on all the games that I beat in 2024 to show you guys how I got to the number of 98 games finished. So there y'all have it, man. Thank you for rocking with me this long ass video. But once again, it's your boy Will777JP, and we are back with this my recap of January 2025 games that I finished. Thank you so much. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one. Keep it gaming.